When 9-year-old Ethan Carter suffers a mysterious fall that leaves him in a coma, the authorities are quick to call it an accident. Case closed. But his older brother Logan knows better. A missing 911 call. A powerful prosecutor lurking in the shadows. A system designed to bury the truth. As Logan digs deeper, he uncovers a conspiracy that leads straight to the courthouse and to a man willing to destroy anyone who gets in his way. With time running out and the law working against him, Logan must outsmart a corrupt system before he becomes its next victim. How far would you go to uncover the truth? Watch the full story to find out, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more thrilling content. Let us know where you're watching from. The Carter household had never been this quiet. It wasn't the peaceful kind of silence, but the hollow emptiness left behind by an absence too big to fill. Logan Carter sat on the couch, gripping his younger brother Ethan's tablet. The 9-year-old had been in a coma for 3 weeks now, ever since what the police called a tragic accident. But Logan didn't believe in accidents. He tapped the tablet screen, scrolling through Ethan's messages and notes. Nothing unusual. No warnings, no signs of distress, until he found a single file labeled "Listen." His fingers trembled as he pressed play. A burst of static filled the room, then a voice small, shaky, and unmistakably Ethan's. "He is watching me? He knows I saw him. I need to." A loud crash. Then silence. Logan's breath caught in his throat. Ethan had seen someone that night. Someone dangerous. And now he was in a coma. But why had this recording never been mentioned in the police report? Logan clenched his jaw. Something wasn't right. And if the police weren't going to investigate, he would. He wasn't a lawyer and this wasn't a courtroom. But justice still had a place in this town. And he was going to make sure it was served. The next morning, Logan confronted his mother, Olivia Carter, in the kitchen. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, coffee untouched in front of her. "Mom," he said, voice firm. "Did Ethan call 911 that night?" Her grip tightened around the mug. "Yes," she whispered. "But the police said there's no record of it." Logan frowned. "That doesn't make sense. He made the call, but it just disappeared." Olivia sighed. "I demanded to hear the dispatch recordings. They refused. Said it was a system error." A system error. Convenient. Logan's mind raced. If Ethan had called 911 before the fall, that meant he knew something dangerous. And someone had made sure that call never saw the light of day. But who had the power to erase an emergency call? Logan spent the rest of the day riding his bike around town, asking questions. Most people gave him the same, rehearsed answer. It was an accident, son. But then he met Henry, the town's homeless man who always sat outside the old courthouse. "You're Olivia Carter's boy, aren't you?" Henry asked, his voice rough but sharp. Logan nodded. "Did you see anything the night Ethan fell?" Henry's gaze flickered around before he leaned in. "A black car, parked near the alley where your brother fell." Logan's stomach twisted. "Did you see who was inside?" Henry hesitated. "A man in a suit. He was on the phone arguing." And then he sped off. A man in a suit. Near the scene. That wasn't just a coincidence. "Did you get a license plate?" Logan asked. Henry shook his head. "No, but I saw something on the back window. A court seal. Some kind of official business." Logan's blood ran cold. Someone connected to the court system had been there. Someone powerful enough to erase a 911 call. That night, Logan lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. Ethan had seen something. He had been scared enough to call 911. And then he fell. The police had closed the case too quickly. The missing call. The man in the suit. The court connection. It all pointed to something bigger. This wasn't just about Ethan anymore. It was about a truth buried beneath a system designed to silence it. And Logan wasn't going to let it stay that way. Logan barely slept that night. The pieces of the puzzle swirled in his mind, refusing to settle. Ethan had called 911 before his accident, before his fall. That call had been erased. And now Henry, the homeless man, had given him something new to chase. A black car. A man in a suit. A court seal on the window. Someone connected to the court system had been there that night. Someone who wanted Ethan's voice silenced. By morning, Logan had made up his mind. He wasn't going to wait for answers. He was going to find them himself. The town's courthouse wasn't far from Logan's school. During lunch, instead of sitting with his friends, he slipped out and rode his bike downtown. The building loomed over him, old but strong, its stone walls holding years of legal battles and secrets. He walked through the entrance, blending in with a group of people heading inside. No one stopped him. Inside, he spotted a row of framed photographs, judges, attorneys, and district officials who worked in Ashwood. He scanned each face, looking for something, anything. And then he saw it. The fourth photo from the left. Robert Calloway, a senior prosecutor. Sharp. Suit, silver hair, eyes that seemed too calculating. Logan's stomach tightened. He recognized the face. 3 months ago, Calloway had been in the newspaper, standing outside a courtroom after a big corporate case. And in that photo behind him was the same black car Henry had described. Logan's heart pounded. Could it be the same vehicle? Could Calloway have been the man Ethan saw that night? There was only one way to know for sure. Logan needed to check if Calloway's car had been anywhere near the alley where Ethan fell. But how? Then he remembered something his mother had said. The police refused to check the dispatch records. Maybe they didn't check the traffic cameras either. Logan headed straight to the police station, rehearsing what he would say. He couldn't just walk in and demand evidence. He needed a plan. When he arrived, Officer Grayson was at the front desk. A man with tired eyes and a permanent scowl. "Kid, what are you doing here?" Grayson asked, barely looking up from his paperwork. Logan forced himself to stay calm. I need to ask something about my brother's case." "It was an accident," Grayson said flatly. "Case closed." "Right. But I was wondering, did you check the street cameras near the alley? Maybe a car was there that night." Grayson's eyes flickered. Just for a second. But Logan saw it. The officer sighed and shook his head. Nothing came up. Logan didn't believe him. "Are you sure?" he pressed. "Because I heard someone saw a black car with a court seal parked there that night." That got a reaction. Grayson's grip on his pen tightened. "I don't know what you're talking about," he muttered. "Go home, kid." But Logan wasn't leaving. As he turned toward the door, something caught his eye. A file sitting on the desk behind Grayson. It was labeled Calloway versus Ashwood Corporation. Logan's pulse quickened. Calloway. He had no idea what the case was about, but the fact that Calloway's name was on an active file in the station meant something. "Who's Robert Calloway?" Logan asked, testing the waters. Grayson's expression darkened. "I said go home." That was all Logan needed to hear. Something about Calloway made the officer nervous. And that meant Logan was on the right path. Logan left the police station, with a storm raging inside him. Robert Calloway, one of the town's top prosecutors, was connected to Ethan's case. Officer Grayson's reaction had made that clear. But why? What was Calloway doing near the alley that night? And why was his name on a case file in the station? There was only one way to find out. Logan needed to get inside that file. That evening, Logan sat in his bedroom, staring at his laptop. The police station's files wouldn't be easy to access, but he had one advantage. His best friend, Noah Reeves, was a tech genius. If anyone could help, it was him. Logan picked up his phone and dialed. "Noah, I need your help." 10 minutes later, they met at Noah's house. The garage was their usual headquarters, a place cluttered with wires, old computers, and half-finished projects. "What exactly am I hacking into?" Noah asked, adjusting his glasses. Logan hesitated. "The police database." Noah's fingers froze over the keyboard. "Dude, that's a crime. So is covering up the truth." Noah sighed. "Fine. But if I go to court because of this, I'm blaming you. He typed furiously, navigating through encrypted layers of security. Logan paced behind him, heart pounding. After what felt like an eternity, Noah let out a triumphant noise. I'm in. Logan leaned over as Noah scrolled through the database. They searched for Ethan Carter's case first. Nothing. Not a single record of the accident. It had been wiped clean. That's impossible, Logan whispered. There has to be something. Noah shook his head. Dude, someone erased it. And not just deleted it like it was never there. Logan clenched his fists. Try searching Calloway. Noah typed in the prosecutor's name. Multiple files popped up, but one stood out. Calloway versus Ashwood Corporation. The same one he had seen at the police station. Noah clicked on it. The case was about corporate fraud. A lawsuit Calloway had prosecuted a month ago against a powerful businessman, Robert Hayes, CEO of Ashwood Corporation. The name sent a chill through Logan. Robert Hayes was one of the most influential men in town. He donated to campaigns, funded court projects, and had deep connections with law enforcement. What does this have to do with Ethan? Logan murmured. Noah scrolled further. Wait, there's a deleted attachment. I might be able to recover it. He worked. His magic, bypassing security barriers. Finally, a single image loaded onto the screen. It was a screenshot from a security camera. It showed a black car. The timestamp? The night Ethan fell. And in the driver's seat, Robert Calloway. Logan's blood ran cold. It was him. Calloway was there that night. Noah exhaled. This guy's a prosecutor. He's supposed to put criminals away, not act like one. Logan thought back to Ethan's recording. He knows I saw him. Saw him doing what? The questions piled up. Why had Calloway been there? What had Ethan seen? And why was the police department covering for him? One thing was clear, this wasn't just an accident. It was a conspiracy. And Logan was in way deeper than he'd ever expected. Logan and Noah quickly copied the files onto a flash drive. Logan stuffed it into his pocket, his mind racing with possibilities. He had proof now. Proof that Calloway was there the night Ethan fell. But as they were about to shut everything down, Noah's computer screen flickered. Then, the entire system crashed. What the? Noah panicked, typing furiously. Someone's tracking us. Logan's heart slammed in his chest. Shut it down. Noah yanked the power cord. The screen went black. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then, Logan's phone vibrated. A new message. Stop digging, or you'll end up like your brother. Logan stared at the words, cold fear creeping down his spine. They weren't just watching. They were warning him. And that meant he was getting too close to the truth. Logan stared at the message on his phone, his pulse pounding. Stop digging, or you'll end up like your brother. The words sent a chill through him. Someone knew he was searching for the truth. Someone powerful enough to erase police records, track a hack system, and send him a warning before he even left Noah's garage. This wasn't just about a cover-up anymore. It was a direct threat. Noah swallowed hard. Dude, this is bad. Whoever this is, they've got serious connections. Logan clenched his fists. Yeah? Well, so do we. Noah gave him a doubtful look. Who? Your mom? Logan ignored him. He had proof that Calloway had been at the scene of Ethan's accident. He just needed more. Something stronger. Something undeniable. And he had an idea where to look. The next morning, Logan skipped school and headed straight for the courthouse. He needed to know more about Calloway's connection to Ashwood Corporation. If Hayes and Calloway were working together, there had to be a paper trail. The courthouse was bustling, lawyers in sharp suits, clerks pushing carts of case files, and security officers watching everything. Logan kept his head down and walked straight to the public records office. An older woman sat behind the desk, typing on an ancient keyboard. Excuse me, Logan said, trying to sound casual. I need some files on Robert Calloway. The woman didn't even glance up. Court records are public, but only finalized cases. What case are you looking for? Logan hesitated. Callaway versus Ashwood Corporation. She frowned, typing quickly. That case is sealed. You need a court order to access it. Sealed. Of course it was. Before Logan could think of another approach, someone stepped up beside him. Why are you asking about that case? Logan turned, and his stomach dropped. It was Robert Callaway. The prosecutor stared down at him, expression unreadable. Logan forced himself to stay calm. I just wanted to know why you were at the alley the night my brother fell. Callaway's lips pressed into a thin line. You don't belong here, kid. Go home. Or what? Logan shot back. You'll erase me from the system like you did Ethan's 911 call. For a fraction of a second, something flickered in Callaway's eyes, surprise. He hadn't expected Logan to know that. Then, just as quickly, he recovered. You have no idea what you're getting into. Logan pulled the flash drive from his pocket. I know you were there. I know you erased the case files. And I know someone is trying to cover for you. Callaway's expression darkened. He glanced around the courthouse before lowering his voice. You don't have enough to take this to court. Even if you did, no judge in this town would hear your case. Logan's blood boiled. He wasn't stupid, he knew the legal system wasn't always fair. But hearing it so openly, it made his skin crawl. Callaway sighed. Listen, I can make this all go away. You drop this, and I make sure your family is taken care of. Your mom gets a better job. Your brother gets the best medical care. But if you keep pushing, he leaned in, you'll regret it. Logan's heart pounded, but he didn't back down. So you're admitting it? That you were involved? Callaway smirked. I'm saying you should walk away. Before you make an enemy, you can't fight. Logan met his gaze. I already have. Without another word, he turned and walked away. Callaway had just made a mistake. He had assumed Logan was alone. But Logan had friends. He had the truth. And now, he had motivation. If they thought he'd stop, they were wrong. Because this wasn't just about Ethan anymore. This was about justice. And Logan wasn't going to let a corrupt court system decide who deserved it. Logan stormed out of the courthouse, his fists clenched so tightly that his nails dug into his palms. The conversation with Callaway replayed in his mind. The prosecutor hadn't denied anything. Instead, he had offered a bribe hush money to keep Logan quiet. That only meant one thing. Callaway was guilty. But knowing it wasn't enough. Logan needed proof strong enough to take to court evidence no one could erase, no matter how powerful they were. He pulled out his phone and dialed Noah. I need you to find something for me. Noah sighed. Let me guess. More illegal hacking. Not illegal, Logan argued. Just unofficial. Noah groaned. Fine. What are we looking for? Callaway was involved in a case against Ashwood Corp., Logan said. I need to know what it was really about. There was a long pause before Noah spoke again. Dude, you sure about this? No, Logan admitted. But I don't have a choice. An hour later, Logan met Noah behind the school gym, where they usually talked when they didn't want anyone overhearing. Noah had his laptop open, his face pale. This isn't just fraud, he said. The case against Ashwood Corp? It was about bribery. Callaway accused Robert Hayes of paying off judges and officials to control court rulings. Logan's stomach twisted. So why would Callaway be covering things up now? That's the weird part, Noah said. Callaway was supposed to take Hayes down. But suddenly, the case got dismissed. Like overnight. Logan frowned. That doesn't make sense. Unless Callaway switched sides. Noah finished grimly. Logan exhaled sharply. Callaway had been a prosecutor, fighting against corruption. But something had made him change sides. And Ethan must have seen something that night, something Callaway didn't want getting out. Logan was close. He could feel it. But he needed more. He needed a witness. That night, Logan went back through Ethan's tablet. He had listened to the recording a dozen times, but something nagged at him. He is watching me? He knows I saw him. I need to what? Run? Hide? Tell someone? Then Logan noticed something new. A text Ethan had saved but never sent. Draft message. Mr. Ramirez, I need to talk to you. It's about the alley. It's important. Logan's breath caught. Mr. Ramirez. Ethan's old soccer coach. Early the next morning, Logan headed to the soccer field where Coach Ramirez still trained the younger kids. The man was in his 40s, with graying hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Logan waited until practice was over before approaching him. Coach, he said, I need to ask you something. Ramirez sighed, wiping sweat from his forehead. Logan, I heard about Ethan. I'm really sorry. Did he talk to you before the accident? Logan asked. Or try to? Ramirez hesitated. He sent me a message, but I didn't see it until later. When I tried to respond, well, it was too late. Logan's heart pounded. Do you know what he wanted to tell you? The coach shifted uncomfortably. Logan, I don't want to get involved. You already are, Logan said, his voice firm. Please. My brother is in a coma because of this. Ramirez looked around as if making sure no one was listening. Then he spoke in a low voice. I was in the alley that night, he admitted. Logan froze. You saw what happened? Ramirez nodded. I was locking up the gym when I saw Ethan running. He looked scared. Then I saw the black car pull up. Logan's breath caught. Calloway? Ramirez hesitated. I didn't see his face, but someone grabbed Ethan. He struggled. I was about to step in when Ethan broke free and ran. Ramirez stopped. Ran where? Logan urged. The coach swallowed hard. Up the fire escape. Logan's stomach dropped. The fire escape. The one Ethan had fallen from. It hadn't been an accident. Someone had chased him. Someone had made sure he never spoke again. And now Logan had a witness. Coach, will you testify? Logan asked. If this goes to court? Ramirez shook his head quickly. No. You don't understand, Logan. These people, they don't play fair. If they know I talked, I won't just lose my job. I'll disappear. Logan clenched his jaw. He didn't blame the man for being scared. But he needed Ramirez's statement. Before he could say anything else, the sound of a car engine made him turn. A black sedan was parked across the street. Watching them, Logan's blood ran cold. They knew. And now he was officially a target. The black sedan didn't move. It just sat there, its dark windows reflecting the morning sunlight. But Logan knew someone was inside watching. Coach Ramirez tensed beside him. You need to leave. Now. Logan turned to him. Coach, please, if you testify, we can take this to court. We can stop them. Ramirez shook his head. You don't get it, Logan. These people don't lose. If I step forward, I'm finished. And so are you. Logan wanted to argue, but the fear in Ramirez's eyes was real. The coach wasn't just afraid of losing his job, he was afraid for his life. Logan's phone buzzed. A new message. Walk away, Logan. Last warning. His throat tightened. They weren't just watching. They were waiting for him to make a mistake. And he had a feeling that mistake was coming soon. Logan rode his bike home, his mind racing. He needed a new plan. Ramirez wouldn't testify, but his story was proof that Ethan hadn't fallen by accident. He had been running for his life. And Logan was next. When he got home, the front door was slightly open. His stomach twisted. His mom was at work. No one should have been. Inside. Cautiously he stepped in. The living room was a mess, cushions thrown on the floor, drawers open, papers scattered everywhere. Someone had been looking for something. His heart pounded. He sprinted upstairs to his room. It was worse. His desk was overturned. His laptop was gone. And the flash drive, the one with the evidence against Calloway, was missing. Logan's blood turned to ice. They had taken everything. His phone buzzed again. Another message. Meet me at the old courthouse. 7 p.m. Come allone. Logan's hands trembled as he stared at the screen. Whoever had broken into his house wanted a meeting. It was a trap, but he had no choice. At exactly 7 p.m., Logan stood outside the abandoned courthouse on the edge of town. The building had been shut down for years, replaced by a newer one downtown. Its windows were broken, and the roof sagged from neglect. A perfect place for something illegal. A black car pulled up. The door opened, and Robert Calloway stepped out. "You're persistent," Calloway said, his voice calm. "That's going to be a problem." Logan stood his ground. "You broke into my house." Calloway smirked. "We were just cleaning up your mess. Can't have evidence lying around, can we?" Logan clenched his fists. "Ethan saw you that night. He knew what you were doing." Calloway's expression darkened. "Your brother was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I handled it." Logan's stomach churned. He had suspected it, but hearing Calloway admit it made his blood boil. "You tried to kill him," Logan said, voice shaking with anger. Calloway tilted his head. "I don't recall saying that. And even if I did, do you think anyone would believe you?" He gestured toward the courthouse. "The system is mine, Logan. The judges, the cops, even the city officials. You take this to court, and I'll make sure you never step inside one again." Logan's heart pounded. He had no evidence now. No flash drive. No witness willing to testify. Calloway was right. He couldn't win. But then Calloway made a mistake. "You're smart," Calloway said, stepping closer. "So let me make this simple. Walk away, or you'll end up just like Ethan." Logan's breath hitched. It was all he needed. A confession. And his phone, tucked inside his jacket pocket, had been recording the entire time. Before Calloway could react, Logan bolted. "Get him," Calloway barked. The car doors swung open. Two men in suits lunged for him, but Logan was already moving. He sprinted into the courthouse, weaving through broken furniture and shattered glass. Footsteps pounded behind him. His mind raced. He needed to get out. Needed to send the recording to Noah before they caught him. Then he saw at a broken window leading to the alley. Logan didn't hesitate. He ran full speed and jumped. Glass shattered around him as he hit the ground, rolling to break the fall. Pain shot up his arm, but he forced himself up and ran. Behind him, Calloway shouted, but Logan didn't stop. He had what he needed, and now it was time to take this to court. Logan didn't stop running until he was several blocks away from the abandoned courthouse. His lungs burned, his arm throbbed from the fall, but none of it mattered. He had done it. Calloway had confessed. Logan pulled out his phone, his hands shaking as he checked the recording. The audio was clear, Calloway's voice admitting to handling Ethan and threatening Logan. This was it. This was the evidence he needed. But now came the hard part, getting it into the right hands before Calloway's people got to him first. Logan ducked into an empty gas station restroom, locked the door, and called Noah. The phone barely rang once before Noah picked up. "Dude, where have you been? I've been freaking out." "No time," Logan panted. "I got it. I got Calloway's confession." There was a brief silence. Then Noah whispered, "Are you serious?" "I'm sending it to you now," Logan said, opening his messages. "Mokikopis. Send it to the news, the police, anyone you can think of." "On it," Noah said. "But Logan, you need to get somewhere safe." Logan swallowed hard. He knew Noah was right. Calloway wouldn't just let this slide. As the file finished uploading, he took a shaky breath. "Noah, if anything happens to me, don't say that." Noah interrupted. "Just get home. Now." Logan ended the call and stepped outside. And that's when he saw it. A black car parked across the street. Logan turned to run, but it was too late. A second car screeched to a stop in front of him. Two men in suits jumped out. Before he could react, they grabbed him. "Let go of me," Logan shouted, struggling against their grip. One of the men smirked. Mr. Calloway wants a word. They shoved him into the back seat, locking the doors. The car sped off. Logan was taken to a dimly lit office, the kind that smelled like leather and expensive cigars. Calloway sat behind a massive desk, perfectly calm, as if this were just another day in court. "You've been busy," Calloway said, pouring himself a glass of whiskey. "I have to admit I underestimated you." Logan glared at him. "It's over. The recording is out." Calloway sipped his drink, unconcerned. "You really think that's enough? That some recording will take me down?" He leaned forward, his expression hardening. "Let me tell you how this works, Logan. The law isn't about truth. It's about power. And I have all of it." Logan's fists clenched. "You don't have control over everything." Calloway chuckled. "Don't I?" He gestured to the men standing near the door. "I could make one phone call and have every copy of that recording erased before it ever reaches a courtroom." Logan's heart pounded, but he forced himself to stay calm. "You can't erase all of them. I sent it to multiple people." Calloway's smirk faded slightly. Good. That meant he wasn't entirely confident. Logan pressed on. "This isn't just about my brother anymore. You've spent years covering things up, bribing judges, controlling the court. But this time, you made a mistake." Calloway's jaw tightened. "And what mistake is that?" Logan met his gaze. "You underestimated me." At that moment, the door burst open. Officer Grayson stormed in, followed by two detectives. "Logan Carter," one of them said, "you're coming with us." Logan's stomach dropped. "What?" Calloway leaned back in his chair, looking smug. "You really thought I didn't have a plan," he said smoothly. "The moment you started snooping, I made sure the law was on my side." The detective stepped forward. "Logan Carter, you're under arrest for unauthorized hacking, theft of legal documents, and obstruction of justice." Logan's world spun. Calloway had set him up. The man who should be facing court was sending Logan there instead. And unless he found a way out, Calloway was going to win. Again. The handcuffs were cold against Logan's wrists as he sat in the back of the police car, staring out the window in disbelief. Calloway had turned the system against him. Instead of facing court himself, the corrupt prosecutor had twisted everything, framing Logan for crimes he didn't commit. Unauthorized hacking, theft of legal documents, obstruction of justice. The charges weren't just serious. They were enough to ruin his life. And Calloway knew it. At the station, Logan was booked, fingerprinted, and led into a holding cell. The metal bars slammed shut behind him, and for the first time, fear truly set in. He had been so close. He had the recording. He had proof. But now he was the one in trouble. Hours passed. Then, finally, someone came to see him. His mother. Olivia Carter's face was pale, her eyes red from crying. She rushed to the bars, gripping them tightly. "Logan, what is happening?" "They told me you," her voice broke. "They told me you hacked the police system." Logan swallowed hard. "Mom, it's not true. Calloway set me up." She took the shaky breath. "They're saying you stole legal files. That you interfered with a criminal case." "They're lying," Logan said. "Calloway is behind everything. He was there the night Ethan fell. He admitted it." His mom's eyes widened. "You heard him say it?" "I recorded him." Logan's heart sank. "But now I don't know if it will matter. He controls the court. The judges. The cops. Everyone." His mom's hands clenched into fists. "Then we need a lawyer. A real one." The next day, Logan was brought before a judge for a bail hearing. His stomach churned as he was led into the courtroom, his hands still cuffed. He spotted Noah in the crowd, sitting next to Olivia, both of them looking tense. And then he saw Calloway, sitting confidently in the prosecution section, a smirk barely hidden on his face. Logan gritted his teeth. The judge, an older man with sharp eyes, tapped his gavel. "Logan Carter, you are charged with unauthorized access to police databases, theft of legal documents, and obstruction of justice. How do you plead? Logan's voice was steady. Not guilty. The judge nodded and turned to the prosecutor, one of Calloway's associates. Does the prosecution have evidence? Calloway's lawyer stood. Yes, Your Honor. We have logs showing unauthorized access to the police system from Mr. Carter's friend's computer. Logan's heart pounded. They had traced Noah's hack. And, the lawyer continued, we have security footage of Mr. Carter breaking into the police station 2 nights ago. Logan's stomach dropped. He had snuck in that night, but not to steal anything, only to look at Ethan's erased records. The judge turned to Logan's public defender. Does the defense have a response? Logan's court-appointed lawyer, a tired-looking man who barely seemed interested, sighed. Your Honor, my client is just a teenager. He didn't mean to break the law. He was emotional about his brother's accident. That was it? That was the defense? Logan's hands tightened into fists. This wasn't justice. It was a performance. One where Calloway had already decided the ending. The judge glanced at Logan. Given the seriousness of the charges, I am setting bail at $50,000. Gasps echoed in the courtroom. 50,000? His mother stood up. Your Honor, we don't have that kind of money. Then your son remains in custody until trial, the judge said. Court adjourned. The gavel slammed. Logan's heart sank. He wasn't just being silenced. He was being erased. As the guards led him out of the courtroom, Noah suddenly jumped up. Wait, he shouted. I have something. Everyone turned. The judge, the guards, even Calloway. Noah pulled out his phone. I have a copy of the recording. Logan's telling the truth. Calloway admitted everything. Logan's breath caught. The recording. Calloway's smirk disappeared. The judge frowned. What recording? Noah hurried forward. A confession. Calloway admitted he was there the night Ethan was hurt. That he handled it. The courtroom buzzed with murmurs. Calloway's lawyer looked uneasy. Even the judge hesitated. Calloway stood, adjusting his tie. This is nonsense, Your Honor. This boy obtained this evidence illegally. It cannot be used in court. Noah's face paled. He was right. Even if they had Calloway's words, the way Logan had gotten them without consent made them almost useless in trial. The judge rubbed his temples. This is a serious accusation, Mr. Reeves. I will review the recording, but for now, Logan Carter will remain in custody. The gavel struck again. Logan's stomach twisted as the guards pulled him away. Noah had done everything he could, but in a court controlled by Calloway, the truth wasn't enough. And unless Logan found another way, he was going to lose. Logan sat in his holding cell, staring at the cracked concrete wall. He had thought exposing Calloway would be enough. That proof would matter, that the court was about justice. He had been wrong. The judge had refused to release him. Calloway's influence ran too deep, and the recording, the one thing that could bring him down, was useless in a legal trial. Logan clenched his fists. Was this how it ended? Trapped in a system built to protect the guilty? No. He wasn't giving up, because there was one last move left to play. That night, Logan's mother came to visit him. Her eyes were puffy, her face pale. Mom, Logan said softly, pressing his hands against the bars. I'm so sorry, Logan, she whispered. I tried everything, but the lawyer said there's no way to use the recording. I know, Logan said, but I have an idea. She frowned. What kind of idea? Logan took a deep breath. We can't use the recording in court, but we can use it somewhere else. His mother hesitated. What do you mean? Public opinion, Logan said. We need to go around the courtroom and take this straight to the people. Olivia's eyes widened as she realized what he was suggesting. The media? Logan nodded. If Calloway controls the system, then we expose him in a way he can't control. The next morning, Noah put the plan into action. He sent the recording to every journalist, news outlet, and social media platform he could think of. It wasn't a legal case, it was a public scandal now. By noon, the internet had exploded. Corrupt prosecutor caught on tape. Court cover-up exposed in shocking recording. Teenager framed after investigating brother's accident. The story spread like wildfire. News channels picked it up. People started demanding answers. And just like that, Calloway lost control of the narrative. By the time Logan was brought back to the courtroom for his official arraignment, the world outside had changed. The courthouse steps were packed with reporters. Protesters held signs demanding justice for Ethan Carter. Cameras flashed as Logan was led inside. And at the front of the room, sitting stiffly in his chair, was Calloway. But this time he wasn't smirking. He was sweating. The judge entered, tapping his gavel. This court is now in session. The prosecutor stood, clearly rattled. Your Honor, due to recent developments we would like to request a delay in proceedings. The judge frowned. A delay? The courtroom murmured. Calloway shifted uncomfortably. Then, the doors at the back of the room burst open. A woman in a dark suit walked in, carrying a folder of documents. Logan had never seen her before, but he recognized the badge clipped to her jacket. State Attorney's Office. She walked straight to the bench and handed the judge a file. Your Honor, my office has launched an independent investigation into Robert Calloway. Given the evidence made public, we are filing formal charges against him for obstruction of justice, evidence tampering, and conspiracy. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Calloway shot to his feet. This is outrageous. That recording was illegally obtained. The state attorney's gaze was ice cold. Maybe, but the financial records we found tying you to Ashwood Corp? Those are very real. Logan's heart pounded. Noah must have dug deeper than he thought. Calloway's face turned pale. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. The judge sighed heavily. Given the new circumstances, I see no reason to proceed with the case against Logan Carter. He turned to Logan. You are free to go. As Logan stepped out of the courtroom, the first thing he saw was the crowd. Reporters rushed toward him. Protesters cheered. His mother hugged him so tightly he could barely breathe. And then, through the chaos, Logan saw Calloway. The prosecutor was being led away in handcuffs, his perfect suit now wrinkled, his head bowed. For so long, Calloway had controlled the court, had used it as his weapon. But in the end, it wasn't the courtroom that brought him down. It was the truth. That night, Logan sat beside Ethan's hospital bed, holding his brother's hand. Hey, buddy, he whispered. It's over. Calloway's done. The whole world knows now. Ethan didn't stir. But for the first time, Logan wasn't afraid. Because justice had finally been served. And soon, when Ethan woke up, Logan would be there to tell him everything. The air outside the courthouse was thick with noise, reporters shouting questions, protesters cheering, cameras flashing. But Logan barely heard any of it. He had won. Not in a courtroom, not with a jury and a judge, but in the only way that mattered, by exposing the truth. Robert Calloway, once untouchable, had been led away in handcuffs. The system he had controlled for years had finally turned on him. And for the first time since Ethan's accident, Logan felt like he could breathe. 2 days later, Logan sat in Ethan's hospital room, watching the steady beep of the heart monitor. His brother hadn't woken up yet, but the doctors said there was progress, small signs of recovery. You did it, Logan, his mom whispered beside him. You got justice. Logan exhaled. It didn't feel real yet. Not completely. Not until Ethan wakes up. His mother squeezed his hand. He will. Just then, the door creaked open, and Noah peeked in. You're famous, he said, grinning. Seriously? Your name is all over the news. Logan rolled his eyes. Great. That's exactly what I wanted. Noah chuckled. Well, you did take down one of the most powerful prosecutors in the state. People are calling you a hero. Hero? The word felt strange. Logan hadn't done this to be a hero. He had done it for Ethan. Still, he couldn't deny the feeling of pride. He had gone up against the system and won. Later that evening, as Logan stepped out for fresh air, a black car pulled up in front of the hospital. For a split second, fear gripped him. But then the car door opened, and a woman stepped out. The same state attorney who had arrested Calloway. "Logan Carter," she said, approaching him. "Mind if we talk?" Logan crossed his arms. "If this is about me breaking into the police system, I already know it was illegal." The woman smiled. "We'll overlook that. This time." Logan raised an eyebrow. "Why?" She studied him. "Because you did something remarkable. You exposed a corrupt man when no one else could. The court system failed you, but you didn't give up. We need people like that." Logan frowned. "People like what?" The attorney's smile widened. "People who fight for justice." She handed him a card. "If you ever decide to work in law, give me a call." Logan stared at the card, surprised. The idea of working in the courtroom had never crossed his mind. But now he wasn't so sure. That night, Logan sat beside Ethan's bed again. His mother had gone home to rest, but he stayed, watching his brother's peaceful face. Then something happened. Ethan's fingers twitched. Logan bolted upright. "Ethan, Gruan." Then, slowly, Ethan's eyes fluttered open. For a moment, he looked confused. Then his gaze locked onto Logan. "You're okay," Ethan whispered, his voice hoarse. Logan swallowed the lump in his throat. "Yeah, buddy. I'm okay. And so are you." Ethan's brows furrowed. "What happened?" Logan exhaled, relief washing over him. "It's a long story." Ethan gave a tired smile. "Good. I like stories." Logan chuckled, squeezing his brother's hand. "Then you're gonna love this one." The next morning, the news was everywhere. Calloway had officially been charged. The evidence was too overwhelming to ignore. His court cases were being re-examined. His allies were cutting ties, and for the first time, he was the one facing real justice. Logan sat with Noah outside the hospital, watching the sunrise. "So," Noah said, kicking a rock. "What now?" Logan thought for a moment. For the first time in weeks, he had no investigation to chase, no mystery to solve. "Now," he said, smiling, "we go get some breakfast." Noah groaned. "After everything, that's your grand plan?" Logan laughed. "Hey, even heroes need pancakes." As they walked down the street, Logan felt lighter than he had in a long time. Because, in the end, justice hadn't come from the courtroom. It had come from standing up, refusing to be silenced, and fighting for what was right. And if he ever had to do it again, he would. Justice isn't just about the courtroom, it's about standing up for what's right, even when the odds are against you. Logan's journey proves that one voice can make a difference, no matter how powerful the enemy is. What did you think of the story? Let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more thrilling stories. See you in the next one.